So kind of seems like you can't really go to a conference nowadays or even a meetup. And, you hear that kind of classic story of, it goes something like, we're starting with a monolithic system and it's horrible to work with, and we're on this like journey to refactoring the architecture to microservices. And I guess that's kind of happening because we've got a lot of systems out there which are delivering value. They are kind of making money, but behind the scenes they're just kind of getting stuck, and they need to kind of move forward to, they need kind of architectural refactoring to actually get them moving again. So that means you're going to have to deal with kind of the beast of legacy code, and I'm sure we've all got, our own kind of horror stories and war stories of ways that we kind of tackle that and deal with this. So there's all the classic problems of having code that's unreadable, very little or no documentation, little or no tests, and usually the people who have the most experience with the domain knowledge, they've sodded off and they've left the company. So can we kind of use science? We're kind of we're methodical people. Can we use science to kind of tackle these kind of problems and get through this? So if we treat it as like an experiment needs to have some kind of a control value. So your control value would be your legacy code. And we've been trying out a framework called Scientist, and it's created by some of the guys at GitHub. And what you do is you leave your legacy code in the code base, and you implement your new, your refactored code in a way that it sits alongside it. And then you pass both of those sets of code into the Scientist framework, and then it controls running both of them side by side. And then crucially, it uses the result of the legacy code to continue with the rest of the application. And then there's also extension point for your logging framework to come in, and after it's run them both side by side, it will do a comparison of the results. If it finds any differences, then it will automatically log them out so that you've got some data to actually read what the actual differences between the two sets of code were. So the other kind of crucial part of this is that it's done in the production environment as well. So there's a few reasons why this isn't like a totally crazy idea. So in the production environment, this is where you've got the real data that you need to work with and where the real clients are calling your code. And you're kind of getting a little preview of how the code will actually behave in the real environment. You don't have the inconsistencies of the hardware in the test environment not being quite as good, the data in the database not being quite up to date enough, all the other kind of inconsistencies that you get with test environments, and all the kind of unknown things around, there's that random system that you didn't actually realize is kind of calling into that bit of code as well. You kind of you find out all of those things, and it's a bit more kind of responsible way of doing things as well, because you're much more kind of proactive in discovering those kind of things before that piece of code is switched on for end users to actually use. Kind of an alternative to this would be something like kind of switching a feature toggle on for only, say, like 5% of people. That would get the same kind of effect, but you are still affecting those same 5% of people. This you're actually testing using all of the live data, and you're getting kind of full coverage of what will happen in the live environment, but without kind of the risk that that's going to end up affecting lots of people. So you're kind of ending up with that kind of confidence in the correctness of the code. And we found that it's kind of saved our necks quite a few times. Even if we're doing kind of reasonably small changes, we kind of ummed and ahed, should we do a little check on this? And quite often or not, we're quite glad that we've kind of put this check in, because we found kind of a random system that's calling the code in a slightly different way that we've discovered. Yeah, so we found it's kind of helped us to kind of refactor code more safely, with more confidence in a more responsible way, and just keep on delivering fast. And yeah, there's more info on our blog and a couple of links to the repos where you can find out a little bit more.